Seeing is believing. Dhamma Talks by Sayadaw Nyanabhasa. Talk 8, The Three Seclusions and the Process of Inconstancy. Those who wish to realize the Dhamma must follow what is now being explained. One may say, I have come here for the Dhamma, but in order to attain the Dhamma, one must practice and cultivate the 5 spiritual powers. These are confidence, persistence, mindfulness, concentration and discernment. The power of confidence must be strong. Ordinary effort is insufficient. Therefore, one must also cultivate the power of persistence. The power of mindfulness enables continuous contemplation without lapses, even in fine details. The power of concentration must exceed the others, and the power of discernment must be capable of deep and analytical contemplation. By practicing with full persistence, these powers develop naturally. This is why the Buddha taught them. Without this training, yogis tend to practice in easy and relaxed ways that do not lead to realization. One must have the courage to quarrel with craving, which behaves like a tailor, constantly stitching and making connections, foremost in relationships. For example, when the leg aches, craving in the heart makes connection with you. This is your legs, how can it be better if you don't adjust it? Only you'll suffer. So you have to lift your legs. If one follows the wishes of craving, one will never attain the Dhamma, but only suffering. There are 3 seclusions that are helpful to the practice. Bodily seclusion. The yogi must abandon making bodily adjustments. Mental seclusion. The yogi must calm the mind. Seclusion from acquisitions. When both mind and body are calmed, the yogi is able to realize the cessation of mind and body, nibbana. The yogi must abandon attachment to the khandhas connected with sensual pleasures. In relation to this point, there are 2 types of persons: those holding the eternalist view and those holding the annihilationist view. A person holding the eternalist view does not dare to commit unwholesome actions that lead to painful existences. Such a person is content with human and celestial pleasures, and has no desire for nibbana. A person holding the annihilationist view, if required to act, does not care about the future results of existence. If such a person turns toward the Dhamma, he may even give up his life for the practice leading to nibbana. In this situation, he has no clinging to other things. Therefore, even people of very poor moral background can realize the Dhamma. It is emphasized that without giving up sensual pleasures and without a teacher to guide the practice, realization cannot be attained. This may lead one onto the wrong path. Practicing in a relaxed manner, without persistent effort and without sufficient strength in practice, does not lead to realization. When a person grows old, both mind and body weaken, and the practice becomes difficult to sustain. If one is unable to overcome these limitations, one may have to abandon the practice, especially when the aging body can no longer follow it. With old age, sickness inevitably arises. Therefore, one must practice diligently while still capable. However, many people become complacent as death approaches. Mogok Sayadaw urged his disciples to practice quickly, otherwise, sickness and death would overtake them. Those who are strongly attached to wrong views, and who cannot abandon or change those views, cannot realize the Dhamma. Only at the stage of arahantship it is completely right. Even a stream enterer is not right yet because he could only abandon 8 of the 12 inversions. As long as defilements remain, complete rightness has not yet been achieved. The mind will still arise in accordance with defilements. It will become completely right only when all defilements come to an end. Practical advice given by the Sayadaw. The Sayadaw offers the following practical guidance. making a determination before a Buddha image. In front of a Buddha image, one should offer one's khandhas to the Buddha and make a firm determination regarding a specific time frame for sitting practice, for example 1 hour or 2 hours. Later the duration can be increased gradually. 1 hour and 15 minutes, 1 hour and 30 minutes, and so on. Sayadaw taught that if the determination is firm and stable, it brings great benefit. A yogi can succeed if he has the courage to struggle with craving. Calming the mind. One must also calm the mind, not allowing other mental states to enter, maintaining only a single state of mind. The mind must continuously discern the perishing of phenomena. There are two ways to do this, samatha and vipassana. If the mind does not calm down, even if one practices for an entire lifetime, realization will not occur. Note, in the Wings of Awakening there are 7 sets. 4 establishments of mindfulness. 4 right efforts. 4 bases of spiritual power. 5 faculties. 5 powers. 7 factors of enlightenment. Noble Eightfold Path. Among these, energy is mentioned 9 times, mindfulness 8 times, and wisdom and concentration 5 times each. This shows the great importance of sati and virya in purifying the mind and leading to samadhi and panna. For further study I would like to refer readers to Bodhipakkhiya by Ledi Sayadaw. It is a very useful book for practice. Samatha and Vipassana approaches. In the samatha approach, the mind must contemplate closely a single object. The mind must become stable with the in-breath and out-breath. The yogi must begin with this approach when impermanence, anicca, is not yet clearly seen. In the Vipassana approach one contemplates in order to discern the vanishing characteristic of the in-breath and out-breath. Contemplation is done by paying careful attention to the breath, allowing it to become the primary object. When the mind gradually becomes calm, the whole body reveals its nature: itching, pain, warmth, coolness, movement, sound, smell, and so forth. The yogi also comes to know the changes of the knowing mind. He discovers the rising and falling of phenomena as they show their nature. Before this stage, the yogi has to follow the in-breath and out-breath, and contemplate their characteristics. Now, because of strong samadhi, the discernment of rising and falling is shown directly by phenomena themselves. Impermanence becomes more prominent in the aggregates, without expectation or deliberate effort. It happens naturally under the yogi's knowing. Eventually the entire body becomes filled with impermanence, and the perception of a solid khanda body disappears. Its intrinsic nature becomes clear to the yogi. Impermanence appears very rapidly through objects, in great numbers. With repeated discernment of impermanence, the mind becomes weary and disenchanted. At this stage, the 5 spiritual faculties become strong and mature into powers. To have impermanence and the path fit together is not easy. One must practice very diligently to reach this level. How to know whether anicca and magga are fitting together? When impermanence and the path fit together, it seems as if one no longer has a head or a body. Only arising and passing away remain. At that period, yogis can sit for many hours without any movement. Because they are without defilements and follow the Dharma, they remain with coolness and stop all thinking. Note, it is very important for every human being to understand well the power of the mind, wholesome and unwholesome, and the law of karma. If not, we create many problems and much suffering for ourselves, for others, and for nature. The blood in the heart becomes light and bright after impermanence, and the path fit together for 1 or 2 hours. The eyes become clear, and painful feeling disappears from the aggregates. The body becomes light, and gladness and happiness arise. At that period, the 10 corruptions of insight arise, and yogis may experience them, and mistakenly take them to be Nibbana Dhammas. Teachers should remind students about these experiences. Yogis must experience them in practice, otherwise it is not yet right. The mind becomes sharp, and gains the light element. With clear blood, brightness appears. The yogi must return this knowledge to the khandha process. Previously the yogi discerned coarse and middling phenomena. Now with the light element refined phenomena are discerned. Therefore, the yogi must make it clear and continue the practice. It does not take long when the practice fits this process. However, it is also difficult for it to arise because of the hindrances. If the practice fits into this process, it will succeed. With much discernment, the mind becomes wearisome. At last, impermanence comes to an end, and path and fruition knowledges arise.